In a devastating interview, a visibly pregnant Duchess of Sussex told Oprah Winfrey her royal life in London left her suicidal.
I just didn't want to be alive anymore.
If people want to believe Meghan Markle, that's entirely their right. I don't believe almost anything that comes out of her mouth, and I think the damage she's done to the British monarchy and to the Queen is enormous and frankly contemptible.
Their cruelty in going after Meghan was just outrageous.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
Meghan Markle, along with her husband Harry, sat down for an interview with Oprah in March of 2021. However, they exposed much more than who made who cry. In this episode, I will be breaking down the gestures of Meghan Markle as she answers these confrontational topics about her life and the royal family. I'll be looking for signs that show the former actress is either making up these answers or simply telling the truth. Now, this guide will assist in tracking the patterns of her eye movements, otherwise known as eye accessing cues, along the way. This helpful tool will show us where she is drawing her answers from. For example, is she remembering or inventing her replies? In my following video, part 2, we'll conclude on this topic of her husband Harry and his body language. We will look at power plays within the relationship, along with other interesting dynamics. Also, if you enjoy this video, then please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel. And if you'd like to learn more about body language, then head over to my website, theobservantman.com. There you can download my free book on how I personally go about observing people. Now, with all that being said, let's break down the body language of Meghan Markle.
Some conversations with Harry about it and have your own suspicions as to why they didn't want to make Archie a prince. Do you think it's because of his race? And I know that's a loaded question, but
I can give you an honest answer. In those months when I was pregnant, all around this same time, so we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
So starting off, Markle takes in a deep breath. This can relate to stress, triggered by the body not taking in enough oxygen. So taking this deep breath not only helps the body recover her oxygen levels, but also composes her emotions by allowing time to think. This also aids in expanding her lungs, which pushes out her chest, giving a needed boost of confidence before answering. This is then followed by a long deliberate sigh. And sighing like this can be a substitute for an unexpressed feeling. We can also see that she compresses her lips. This can mean that she has encountered sudden negative emotions within her thinking.
and I know that's a loaded question, but
I can give you an honest answer. In those months when I was pregnant, all around this same time.
After this cluster, Markle locks eyes to eye with Oprah, seen with this gaze, and refrains from speaking. It's as if she has said all she needs to with her actions just then, and her words here are not needed.
I can give you an honest answer.
The wrinkling of her forehead here can suggest anxiety or concern. However, being accompanied with the raising of her eyebrows can display an unwanted surprise. As in, she knew the question was coming, but she may not have felt ready to give her answer. For example, this sigh used here was to help buy herself some more time. And this is followed with a subtle smile that is a friendly yet brief display of trust and acceptance of the question.
I can give you an honest answer. In those months when I was pregnant.
Now this is something she does at the beginning of almost every answer throughout this interview, and that is, she will close her eyes for a brief moment as she begins to talk. Now this can either help emphasize a spoken word, symbolize her status, or it's used as a blocking behavior. For example, it could relay worry or psychological discomfort. Usually the longer someone has their eyes closed while speaking, the deeper the level of concern. You will see an example of what I mean by this coming up.
All around this same time, So we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
Here she flutters her eyelids a few times while saying the word title. This can signal that a person is struggling with something or struggling with processing information.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
We see again her eyelids fluttering, showing that she's dealing with something internally. This most likely would be in regards to the topic she's about to raise.
And
Who is having that conversation with you? What?
Okay, so now we see her eyes engaging with Oprah with a very deliberate and steady-paced confirmational head nod. We see again her eyelids fluttering and an extended closing of her eyes. Also, a noticeable swallow is seen here, which can be an indicator of distress. There's also a slight squint seen here. This either shows focus or displeasement, and due to her not trying to remember anything at this moment, or take on any instructions, this would be a sign of displeasement. And just like before when her actions spoke louder than words, I feel this is her way of non-verbally saying, you know who, and yes, your guess is correct.
so,
There is a conversation. Hold up.
there's
Stop
several
right now.
there are several conversations.
There's a
about it.
conversation with you
With Harry.
about how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Ooh. And you're not going to tell me who had the conversation?
I think that would be very damaging to them.
Okay.
Now at this point, the discomfort she has gotten herself into right now has reached boiling point. This is a display of self-preening seen here. This is her attempt to making herself look better than how she would currently feel on the inside. This is also joined by her adjusting or squirming in her seat and this constant gaze to her feelings quadrant via her eye accessing cues. She may be at this point thinking about the repercussions of the question, and she is physically uncomfortable in her own body along with her own thoughts.
Said in a podcast that it became almost unsurvivable.
Yeah, there was. I just didn't see a solution. But I knew that if I didn't say it, that I would do it. And I just didn't want to be alive anymore.
There's congruence between her saying she would cause self-harm and this head nodding seen here, showing agreement with what she's saying. Now, after recalling an auditory memory, we see her shake her head from left to right. She snaps her head from a still position to a head shake, which then transitions into a subtle nod. This could suggest that she disagrees with her auditory memory and agrees with her statement of not wanting to live.
And that was a very clear and real and frightening, constant thought. And I remember how he just cradled me, and I went to the institution and I said that I needed to go somewhere to get help. I said that I've never felt this way before and I need to go somewhere. And I was told that I couldn't, that it wouldn't be good for the institution. And I called.
So the institution is never a person, or is it a series of people?
No, it's a person.
It's a person.
It's several people, but I went to one of the most senior people just to get help. And that, I share this because I thought it would have solved everything for everyone, right?
So were you thinking of harming yourself? Were you having suicidal thoughts?
Yes. This was very, very clear.
Wow.
Very clear and very scary. And, I didn't know who to even turn to in that.
Here we have an eyebrow raise. However, you'll notice that the wrinkling on her forehead is no longer there. This brow raise is also higher on the right-hand side. This can suggest doubt and uncertainty.
And that was a very clear and real and frightening.
Now here she has her eyes closed. Looks like she's reliving this moment. Now, like I stated earlier, the longer the eyes are closed, the more likely there is a deeper level of concern involved. In this case, it's the concern for her own life.
Constant thought.
Her lips tighten here, showing that she is processing an issue that is creating stress.
And I remember how he just cradled me, and I was...
Here we have another lip tightening display accompanied with another sigh. These both go hand in hand with her eye accessing cues, pointing towards her internal dialogue or self-talking seen here.
I went to the institution and I said that I needed to go somewhere to get help. I said that I've never felt this way before and I need to go somewhere.
Here she is displaying worry. This is seen by the way her eyebrows are pulled up in the middle and the arched wrinkles appearing on her forehead.
And I was told that I couldn't, that it wouldn't be good for the institution. And I called.
So the institution is never a person, or is it a series of people?
No, it's a person.
It's a person.
It's several people, but I went to one of the most senior people just to get help.
Here we see her eyes closed again, and also her hand has come up to rest under her mouth. This could be an attempt to cover her mouth, concealing the words she has just spoken. This is often seen in children that tell lies, but this action is more subtle in adults. However, this is confirmed to be untrue by the way she moves her hand and follows by stating clearly that it's several people in a hierarchy and not just one.
No, it's a
People.
person.
It's a person.
It's several people, but I went to one of the most senior people. I thought it would have solved everything for everyone, right?
So were you thinking of harming yourself? Were you having suicidal thoughts?
Yes. This was very, very clear.
Wow.
Very clear and very scary. And, I didn't know who to even turn to in that.
And finally, when stating it was very clear, we can see that her head signals are not that clear in comparison. She is shaking and nodding her head simultaneously, showing possible confusion before resting on a nod. Now, there seems to be no doubt in my mind that she was being truthful in her replies throughout this interview. We witnessed much stress, worry, and concern while she shared her side of the story. When answering questions, Markle spent the majority of her time accessing past memories and rarely ventured into her imagination to construct her answers. It would be difficult to convey so many congruent gestures without slipping up at some point, even for a skilled actress. And because of this, I strongly believe she's being truthful in her claims of self-harm and the conversation she had regarding her son. Now in part 2, I'll be covering the topic of body language on both Harry and Meghan as they interact with each other and conclude the interview, so stay tuned. So now observers, I'd like to hear from you. What do you think about this interview? Do you think she was crossing the line? Or do you think she didn't share enough? Share your thoughts in the comment section below and don't forget to like and subscribe with notifications on to stay up to date with videos just like this one. You can also follow me over on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And if you're still with me up until now, then allow me to offer you a huge thanks. And with all that being said, my name is James and this concludes my review on Meghan Markle. So until next time.